All right, welcome to the EH Leader Podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to connect, encourage, and equip strong leaders to make an impact in the homes around them. Today's episode is a 10-minute conversation, and we've got an incredible ministry leader with us via Zoom. We're about to put 10 minutes on the clock. I've got a timer right here. Jerry Hendrix, welcome, man.
Thank you, Bobby. It's good to see you this morning.
Good to see you.
Glad to be a part of some things you're doing.
Oh, man, I'm glad you are too. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You ready? All right, 3, 2, 1. 10 minutes on the clock. Jerry, tell me where you're serving and what you do.
I am the pastor of First Baptist Church in Sweetwater, Texas. Sweetwater is 40 miles west of Abilene. If you don't know where Abilene is, I can't help you. I mean, I could, but I'm not going to. But we lived 10 years in Houston, and when we moved to Abilene, people didn't know where it was. So I realized that not everyone knows all of the different areas of Texas, but that's where we are.
All right, Sweetwater. Do you know the population off the top of your head?
It's about a little over 11,000 people.
Okay. So
several major corporations here,
yeah.
But it's a lot of people travel to Sweetwater to work.
Yeah. As far as, is your church a community church or a regional church? What would you say?
It's hard to say in the context out here. In probably big surveys, it would be considered rural. I mean, that's the demographic we get for our hospitals and school districts. But we're a pretty good hub here for some of the outlying communities that are pretty small towns. A lot of six-man football around us, so smaller schools that depend on us for all the essentials.
Gotcha. So in Sweetwater, Texas, tell me about your family.
Sharon and I have 2 adult children. Sarah is an educator. She's a fifth grade teacher. Sharon, my wife, is an educator, first grade teacher, and James runs a couple of businesses that we have and work together in, all in Abilene, Texas.
Awesome. So senior pastor, that seat comes with a lot of different opportunities, incredible opportunities, but some challenges. But what's your favorite part of your role there in Sweetwater?
Well, I think, first of all, I consider myself a rookie pastor. I did a career in student ministry, then did a church start, which has its own unique elements to it and structure. Did that for about 12 years. And then retired from ministry, came over here to do this. And it's been different. It's not a stereotypical First Baptist county seat town. They had gone through a lot of transition to set this place up well for someone. And I was friends with a youth minister here, so we joined forces. We have a very compatible skill set. And so in that, my favorite thing is going to be strategic leadership, I think. I enjoy being able to look at things, evaluate it, kind of get a feel for people, sort of at the missional aspect to it. I think I shared with our leadership last Monday that churches are not going to have a template moving forward. I mean, that's been eroding for a while in terms of lack of denominational strength. But with COVID and different skill sets and things that it's going to take to develop a congregation and families, every church is going to have to discover what being on mission means, I think. And I enjoy that. Now, there's challenges to that and difficult times, but that's where I thrive, I think.
That's awesome, man. So the flip side of that question, this is a safe place, and listeners, ministry leaders,
yes,
there is safe. Like, what is something that maybe you do that's not your favorite thing to do, but you try to do it the best of your ability? It's not a weakness, but maybe a growth area or something that's on your plate that you're like, this is what I do.
No, it's a weakness, and I'm not growing there. But it's systems. And the frustrating part to me about that is systems are somewhat administrative. And the deal is, I know how to do them. I just don't spend time doing them. And the reason I don't spend time doing them is it just frustrates me. I felt like administration was, and I had a friend that was really good at that. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or maybe 1 step forward and 2 steps back, but it's always starting over. And that just frustrates me. But Teak, my associate here, has that skill set. And so we're able to cover a lot of ground for, a small church kind of situation.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
even,
definitely.
yeah, even in maybe a weakness or something that you don't necessarily love to do, you find people that do have those strengths to bring them in. That's awesome. That's leadership.
Well,
So,
well, yes, but what I've learned through my years is that those people are really hard to find,
yeah.
and that that can understand it and keep it from bogging down. And you've seen that in probably particularly larger organizations. Sometimes that administrative type or that mindset, they get so stuck in those systems, they keep the train from moving forward. And uh, but so yes, I've probably worked with three or four in my career that really excelled in that area.
That's interesting. So about 5 minutes left on the clock. Part of Empowered Homes is our heartbeat is how do we connect church and home? How do we make discipleship more than just coming to a building on Sunday morning? Like, how do we do that? So my question is like, what are you doing intentionally to connect church and home, to equip people to live out that everyday discipleship?
Well, for one, I think the most important thing we've done is we talk about that every week, and we try to measure ourselves and evaluate and see how well we're doing there. Our children and youth ministers, they have done a really good job coming out of COVID, where everything went from live to digital, which eventually, and we did well with that. I know some people didn't have that skill set for that to work well, but we were energized. We had a good number of people engaged. But then coming back into that, we're able to ask some really difficult questions about what we were doing now that we're in this hybrid. What changes can we make? And then what will we look like going forward? But it made us, we were already doing a few things. We had a few hooks in the water with families and homes pre-pandemic, but it just, the whole at home situation just brought to light us more opportunities. And if you remember, we called you right off the bat, because there were two people that I knew in ministry that had kind of walked ahead of anything that might come up like this. And so you were one of the ones that we talked to, and Teak still uses the phrase that you landed with us, that the home is plan A, the church is plan B. And so he said it in our leadership Monday night. So it resonates with us. So we take a lot of what he's done, like he just completed a Lenten series for the youth ministry. And within that series, there's several pieces that involve family and home and parents. And so, obviously always the challenge is getting buy-in and ownership from that end of it. But it's really, to me, the cool thing is just that process that we go through now to think through how's this going to reach family, and how can we kind of help them, give them the tools to structure something to continue that conversation. So church wise, I started writing a Bible study that goes with every sermon. That Bible study's online, and we encourage that to be used in homes. And then probably where the next big step for us is really being able to follow up with those things. This Lenten series will be the first pretty intense connection, I think, to families and involving them in something that's going on with their students.
Yeah. I mean, just that idea of getting things into the home is key, and just you can't just do it one time. And I love what you said of every Sunday we talk about it. Every Sunday it's a part of our DNA to connect those things, and that's huge. And like I think a lot of times with churches we do big initiatives and then it just kind of fizzles out. But if it's a consecutive thing that's on your radar, it becomes part of who you are. That's awesome, man. And yeah.
Well, it's, everybody's talked about engagement through this process, and that whole conversation will continue to evolve. And I think for us in particular, it's going to be how do we evaluate that, and how are we going to start to measure our progress? Because all the previous dashboards are extinct, and you're just trying to figure out now, what we do, and then how we can measure it better. But we do have more parental participation with us, I think, in incubating some of those ideas and things that will be helpful for them. And so that's also helped with us, helped here as far as our progress.
Man, that's awesome. About 40 seconds left. I got to ask you this. With coming out of 2020, going into 2021, what are you most excited about this year?
Well, the opportunities that we're given to start over. In December of this year, our church will be 140 years old. And one of the things that I said during the fall was not many 140-year-old organizations have the opportunity to go to a blank canvas. And I've got to do that with a church start. And there's a different feeling and experience there. And I think that's what our church is preparing to do. There'll be limitations, of course, but that slate has never been cleaner.
That's awesome, man. Timer's up. Jerry, man, that's so true for us to understand that, especially some older churches, but even some newer churches. My church is only 40 something years old.
Right.
We're having those same conversations. And so for us to know that you're doing stuff in Sweetwater that I can bring to Katie and I can give you back and forth, I think that's what I think 2020 going into 2021, the walls of competition between churches is coming down. We're in this together. I really see God moving us in a direction of collaboration. And I think that's what we're going to see. And I'm excited about it. So Jerry, that's our 10 minutes. Thank you, man, for our time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jerry, if someone's listening and be like, hey, I want to know more about what he's doing, how can people get a hold of you?
Just email me, jerry@fbcsweetwater.org, and I'll be glad to continue that conversation. Thank you, Bobby, for your influence and what's going on here. Appreciate you and love what you're doing.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry.
You bet.